Yes. Say,
This.
say yes. Hit the last bit. Am I frozen?
Do you want any more?
Say yes. Booty drugs.
Stupid.
Booty drugs. Drugs.
Oh, he's not responding. So,
Say yes to
dude,
drugs.
using these dry vape or dry herb vapes are so much better.
Yeah.
I
Hello,
get,
everybody.
yeah. Oh shit.
Yeah, my computer took a shit. Had to clean it up. You know, I might just have to do like a full fucking reset of the goddamn PC because it's just not cooperating half of the time. So, sorry. It was the aliens. We were getting too close to the truth, and they said, "Fuck off."
Nothing now. We're live again.
No shit. No shit. Hola, ¿cómo estás? Bien, ¿y tú?
Okay. All right. I gotta change to the new chat. Hold on. Poop out. All right. Okay. Ooh. I feel fluffy.
I think not. Yeah,
I do not believe in
coincidences.
coincidences.
Neither do I. Neither do I.
Why is it doing that?
Jeez,
so weird.
Louise. Who's Louise? Like, I always, like, you know, sayings like that, I always wondered where sayings like that came from. Like, you know, starving like Marvin. Like, legitimately, who was, like, the original starving Marvin? Right? Like, who was the dude named Marvin that was starving that somebody said, oh, dude, you starving like Marvin? Like, how bad did your life have to be for people to use you as a fucking catchphrase? Like, geez Louise? Right? Like, how fucked up of, like, a life did you lead where, you know, somebody, like, included your name in conjunction with the term geez because your life was so fucked up they used it to describe other people's shit? Right? Like,
I'm pretty sure it just rhymed.
But there's no coincidences. There's no coincidences. None. None. They don't exist. They're not real.
I can believe that, sad world. For sure.
Here's a beloved Ethiopian child at South Park.
Facts.
Wow.
Agreed.
What about Stan, the man? Right? 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 I mean, was he like
Ooh.
larger than life? Like,
I was trying to show Brad the original South Park episode, Cartman gets an anal probe. That'd be perfect for tonight.
there you go. There you go. And then he can practice on you.
It was hilarious. That's a good episode. I am just really going to ignore that.
I noticed. Oh, it was lovely, though.
When they go low, we get high, right?
It's like, Brad, I am going to show you an instructional video. Watch. Then repeat.
That is such a funny episode. Wow, that's not very cool.
I mean, but see, that makes sense though. Getting caught red-handed, right? I mean, that makes logical sense, right? You know,
it
so
does.
high on alien drugs. I know, right? Right. I just want to meet an alien and just give him some edibles. A lot.
I just want to meet an alien and try to prove that we're really not all that stupid. I mean, maybe a little bit that stupid, but not all that stupid. Yes, we had somebody's face off and rob a Wendy's with an alligator, but there's good things too. Trees up.
Oh, hello, Treesap. How are you? Florida
Oh, I
man.
need to drink more. Need to drink more water.
Uh-huh.
Oh, that's good. Florida man.
Yeah, it's great to have you back. It's great to have you back. I think
Yeah,
tonight
long
we should.
time.
I think tonight we should do an after show. I think this would
Kind of weird though.
What's
You
weird?
do we do a show on aliens and just out of nowhere a tree stat pops up.
I know, right? Oh, wait, I think we're getting put me in, coach. All right, hold on a second, chat. We're pulling in Melvin. We're pulling in the Crimson Mel.
Let's see if we can do it without crashing everything.
I know, right? That's a big thing. Oh wait. Uh-oh. They changed how this shit works. Oh, there it goes. There it goes. Now we just need somebody to fucking answer. I'm ringing both of them. Neither women are answering. Wait. Whoa. Got going on here. All right. Is my microphone working? Can y'all motherfuckers hear me? There we go. All right. We're waiting for
Videos
right,
today.
There he is.
Hey.
Melvin, you there?
Yep, I am here. I'm just trying to figure out why this isn't turning on. Oh, there we go.
There we go. All right, so we're going to do this a little bit differently. So I'm actually going to turn off my camera over here on this side, and I'm going to put my camera over there so they can see me. And then I'm just going to put the Discord thing full screen, and that's what we're going to use for the chat. Okay, so you can see the three of us. You know, so I'm not fucking around with moving shit around. So give me a second. All right, deactivate that right there. Turn on the camera over here. There you go. Y'all motherfuckers can see me.
I'm a mystic, y'all. That's why I'm gone.
He's a something. All right, let's put this over on top. There we go. Make it a little bit bigger. So we're just gonna overlay it like this. There we go. Oh wait, that got way too. All right, so, all right, awesome. Now you can see all three of us.
I'm like
Right?
a floating neck.
You are not a floating neck.
No, nothing close to that. I was rushing though, so it took longer than I thought it would.
Hey, it's all good. It's all good. I'm glad you jumped in because, like, I know that the UFOs and the aliens and that's your wheelhouse, man. That's your stick. That's what people know you for. So I figured, who better to talk to about this and have on the show than fucking Crimson Bell?
You should have messaged me though instead of like just throw it out there when I enter into chat.
Well, the thing was I didn't want to
about it
message
before
you.
too.
Yeah, well, I didn't want to message you because like the idea popped in my head as we were starting the show. I was like, shit, it would be awesome to fucking have him on, you know, because he's so into it. And I was like, no, he's probably doing his own thing. He's always got his other stuff rolling, so I didn't want to bother you. And then you popped into the chat, and it's like, well, fuck it, you're right there. The worst you're gonna say is no, so there we go.
Yeah, perfect timing.
Right? Hey, I don't believe in coincidences, right? I wanted you on the show. We're talking about aliens. You popped in. You don't pop in all the time, so it's like, all right, here we go. All right, so how much of this? How much of the House Committee thing have you seen so far?
Not too much. I saw enough where the guy was like, I don't want to necessarily call them aliens, but biological, that.
Biologically not human?
I saw enough. Yeah, biologically not human, and wow, I did not see that coming. I didn't think that we would pretty much say, yeah, there are extraterrestrials out there.
Yeah, and then going back all the way like 1930, I guess, because they asked like when was the first time that you think the United States had contact with with these things, entities, whatever the hell the word that was used, these non-human biologicals, and it's like going all the way back to 1930.
Yeah. I mean, which it makes sense. Chances are, though, they've been visiting way before then, because I personally think they've had a hand behind the scenes in shaping humanity to a degree. I don't think it's 100% involvement, but it's enough. And I heard you earlier, you were saying how, it's possible that they were our ancestors' gods and all that. And you brought up a good point saying that, someone comes with crazy technology you've never seen before and they're doing stuff, then yeah, you're gonna think they're supernatural
Yep.
and divine, coming down on a shiny ship.
Hmm.
And if we look at the lore throughout the various ancient cultures, we do see something that's very common, particularly dealing with the sun. But going deeper than that, if we look into actual Vedic lore or Hinduism, they talk about floating cities that was shooting or had fire raining down from them. They were having wars with one another, the gods, and in the Americas, and I always forget the name of these of the First Nation people, but they said that one of their gods, reptilian god, came to him and said, "Hey, it's going to get nasty here. Build caverns so you can go and protect yourself." And archaeologists, they found these caves and buildings and these giant doors with locks, but it wasn't to keep people out, it was to keep people in. And
Hmm.
it's like, whoa. So I think that they've been here, they've just not been in our face, which they're still not in our face. I mean,
Hmm.
the closest that I would say we have to that would be Roswell, and it's a lot of weirdness with that. And then you had the Phoenix Lights, which was, just freaking brilliant. And so it's like it's there, but it's not there. Sorry
Well,
for rambling here.
no, please do, because I mean you're significantly better versed in this than we are, right? I mean, I'm just like, you know, the weird kid in high school that like thinks that they're real but doesn't know half of the shit that he probably should about them. So,
I'm,
you know, um, but I want to reiterate the one thing that irritated me about the non-human biological. I would have felt better and more secure if they would have said non-terrestrial
yeah,
biological, because by saying non-human biological, that leaves a huge door open. Because, like I said to Mystic, what was it, a fucking dog? 'Cause it's non-human and it's still biological, right?
yeah. Well, you still want to somewhat cover your bases because we can also see it like this. It could have been an experiment from well, shoot, we'll just say the Reds from back in the day, and
Okay.
they mutated a monkey and they put him in there, or something like that.
Yeah.
Which we know that we've experimented with animals going into space and all that. So I sort of understand where it's coming from because you don't want to be the guy who just comes out and says, "Yeah, it's aliens, people, 100% aliens." You look like the dude from Ancient Aliens, and So
Yeah. Yeah.
you don't want that exactly, and you do want to still sound somewhat scientific, but at the same time, you read between the lines. But I kind of understand where they were coming from with.
Right. No, definitely. But I mean, the basically, the other part of this that I agree with you on, in the part with like wrapping your head around it, is basically what was it? Three people that were on that committee, or three
Yep.
people that were confirmed to have had worked for the government in a capacity that would allow them access to these types of things, or allow them access to people that had access to these types of things, um, documentation and otherwise. So that aspect was confirmed, which is the reason why I was in, you know, a House Oversight Committee. And so we got that part. We know that part's real. We know it's not just some dude that, is getting drunk on the weekend saying that, he had an alien, sticking metal objects up his butt, you know. Um, it's kind of crazy to sit there and say, essentially, ex-government elements are confirming the things that we've been saying for years, that aliens are real. They've been here.
Mm-hmm.
We've had contact with them, right? We have their technology. I think essentially they confirmed that a lot of the technology that the American government is developing and has been working on a military level, and the military, industrial complex level, is reverse engineering of technology that they have from these things, these beings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It actually reminds me of two things. The first is Bob Lazar, and most people know who he is. He used to work at Area 51, and he was good friends with John Lear. And Bob Lazar would say, like, hey, we are working with beings not of this world, and we are reverse engineering their technology. They've given us some. And he said that he has seen them. He has seen the military experiment with whatever objects,
Mm-hmm.
all that crazy stuff that's out there. And this is sort of giving him a little bit more credibility. But I'll never forget this. John Lear was saying about Bob Lazar that Bob Lazar had a big mouth and they told him to shut up. And, like, if the government tells you to shut up, you shut up.
Yeah.
And he didn't do it. So what they did was they got him and they would hit him with the gun, and over every time he was they would ask him about extraterrestrials or the work he was doing. They would just hit him over and over and over, and then they would, like, do some type of hypnotism or drug him up or something like that. So outside of work and whatever he was doing, if he tried to talk about the aliens or UFOs, whatever he was working on, that pain would come back and he would shut up, which I always thought was interesting. And this takes me to my second thing, and this was many, many, many moons ago. And I think I talked about this on Unexplained Possibilities once, but I was speaking to a former person, a former CIA, and we got to talking because I was at the time writing something about parallel dimensions, and he was like, "Oh, that's interesting," and he was telling me how, like, a lot of that stuff is legit. We are aware of extraterrestrials. We have some of their technology, and he took it a step further and said that, yeah, we have done secret space travels using it. Doesn't mean it was always working 100%, but
Successful.
we've
Yeah.
we've done this. And he said that the government was actually experimenting with time travel, saying that they've all but confirmed it. It's possible. It's just having it be stable. And if you do change something in the past, will it affect the present or the timeline that we're in, or would it split the timeline? Because no one would actually know something's different unless it's the person who changes it,
Right.
which is interesting. So I'll never forget all of that. And he said that part of a good portion of that comes from ET technology.
Doesn't that the time travel thing, that reminds me of, I remember years and years ago, sitting with my dad, eating dinner on the couch, watching Discovery Channel or History Channel or some crazy shit like that, like we normally did. Always educational TV with my dad, and there was this. It was the Navy, I think. They tried to do something with a ship, and it worked, but when it came back, most of the crew were integrated into the ship, like they were part of the ship.
That's freaky. I haven't heard that one. Please find that.
Yes.
So, all right, hold on a second. You babble on. I'm gonna find it. It shouldn't take too long.
Yeah,
You-
that's
you
an
know.
X-Files episode right there. That's what that is.
One of the best shows that ever existed, by the way.
Oh, I love the X-Files. It's amazing.
We need to
So,
rewatch that.
I keep putting off my review for season 2 of that. I need to do it, but I just get so busy with other stuff. But yeah, the extraterrestrial thing though, it's really interesting. And then I know people who they've personally had experiences. I can't prove that their experiences are 100% or not. I believe them, but it's just like, well, I can't prove it. I just believe them, and uh, I'll never forget this one particular time. It was a type of group meeting among abductees, and one of the people, I won't say his name, but one of the people there, he was like, "Hey, you guys want to see something?" And he went to his answering machine, and oh gosh, I'm showing my age. They don't even have answering machines anymore, do they? Anyway, he went to his answering machine. He hits the button to play, and it's this weird voice that's coming through. Just, just weird. It's like, what is this? And he's like, it's them. And no one believed him. Like, it's them? Yeah, right, whatever. And so to prove it, they went to his attic, and he just sat them all down and said, you just wait, just wait, just wait. And then a flash of light happens, and it was only like 2 seconds that went by. They go back downstairs, the furniture all rearranged, just totally different. It it was, they said, an electrical feel, like very staticky, and on the answering machine was a new message because he cleared the old one. It was a new message, the same voice, that just that, and it's like, whoa.
Nice. All right, so it was the USS Eldridge, a cannon-class destroyer escort, that between Tesla and what's his name, Einstein, they tried to make it so they could cloak the ship and teleport it. And the experiment was called the Philadelphia experiment.
Never heard of that.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean everything. I mean everything going to the point where, I'm talking about, the guys being stuck in the ship and stuff like that. Those are just reported things from people that were on the ship that were able to get off of the ship, right? None of that was ever actually confirmed by, the government or anything like that. But according to certain people that got off of the ship, they were able to teleport it, but when it got back in, they were part of the ship. Like, most of the crew were like integrated into the ship and already dead.
That almost sounds like a mixing of molecules, like broke down, and when it rearranged, it just didn't discriminate on what's what.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like with Star Trek, when they initially brought out the teleporters, they were afraid to use it because it literally broke down your molecular field, and then it rebuilt you, and that's what it almost sounds like. Like
so it wasn't
somehow...
time travel. It wasn't time travel, but it was still kind of like moving through space and time. And according to, like I said, according to certain reports from people that, were able to get off of the ship, it worked, but not the way that they thought it would.
Yeah, that's scary. But yeah, it sounds like molecular failure with molecular redistribution. Like, the molecules, they just didn't. They weren't rebuilt correctly.
And that would make sense of why they would be part of the ship, because like you get a ship full of people, and you try to move the ship, like you break down its molecules, it's on like a molecular level, to move it from one point to another, and then when it comes back, well, there's nothing there's no way of programming in who's who and what's what, so it just all jumbles together.
Yeah, that I'm gonna have to look into that. That might be a new tell me about it I do. Gave me some content. Nice.
You're welcome. So, well, I mean, aliens and stuff like this normally isn't, kind of like topic for discussion on the show necessarily, but I mean, I like to consider it, occult adjacent, right? Because going back to that movie, The Fourth Kind, which is supposed to be, based on, an actual story of like something that actually
Uh-uh.
happened.
No,
You
no, no,
know,
no. That one is 100% fake.
is it?
Yeah, that was just viral marketing, good marketing, but
So
it's
that
not
was
based off.
like a Blair Witch Project type shit.
Yeah, it's but no, the fourth kind is 100% fiction with some elements of truth from abductees. Seeing the owls and all of that, because
Hmm.
it's a connection with aliens and owls and moons, and
Okay.
sometimes people do ritualistic things with owls. They say if you see an owl, it's actually an alien.
Okay. See, I hate it when they do that stuff because that makes me feel stupid. Because I fall for that shit. Like when they say based on a true story, right? I'm like, all right, cool, right?
Well, the problem
Blair
with
Witch
that isn't
Project, but with
necessarily a
aliens.
bad. It's not a bad thing, right? That just means that things are getting more believable because we're opening our minds to things that we might not have considered before. So what was once fantasy, like a cell phone,
Hmm.
to somebody in the 20s, is becoming a reality now.
True.
Yeah, wait. Well, wasn't the smartphone originally inspired from a Star Trek thing, like one of their
Hmm.
communicators?
Yeah, the communicator thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. But yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there like a prick. But yeah, the
No.
fourth kind, uh, good movie to an extent, but yeah, that one not a true story.
Because that was the movie that kind of like concreted the idea in my head of like what I was talking about before about like what if like this whole concept of what we believe to be God and angels and the devil and stuff like that was just a misinterpretation of, you know, events that have actually taken place.
Uh, I was actually thinking about that the other day, funnily enough, and I I think I think Mystic said it, telephone, and I think that's the perfect way to describe it. Something probably happened. It was probably some people who showed up from wherever, and throughout the years, one person tells this story, someone adds this or takes away this, and now it's just completely jumbled up. But I do think the possibility is there because a lot of times they say that the Anunnaki were extraterrestrials. Uh, the gosh, what were they, like the fallen angels or something like that, or
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So
Hmm.
and there's some stories that say that there was actually a war over this planet between giants, reptilians, and humanoid looking aliens. They would be called like the Nords, most likely. And this planet was originally the reptilians, but they were booted off, and then humanity was planted here, and now here we are, and a lot of conspiracies, the hollow
Yeah.
Earth thing, the
Mm-hmm.
Antarctic base. I don't really believe in those, but
Dude, I'm sorry,
it's
I love the whole concept of that movie, like the whole hollow moon thing. Like the moon is like, like an alien satellite. It's not actually a moon, you
yeah.
know?
That's interesting too because this is something that John Lear has talked about quite a few times, and the yeah, like you said, he believes that the moon is not a natural satellite and that we did go to the moon, but we were told never to come back. Like we got booted off. We saw stuff we weren't supposed to see, and it actually is some type of monitoring base looking at us or something like that. I don't know how true it is, but I do find the moon suspicious, we'll say,
Okay.
and and this is just from looking at um, the other moons because I have a little interest in astronomy, and you look at some of the other moons, like the moons that circle Mars or Jupiter. Not all of them are
Mm-hmm.
perfectly symmetrical. Like this thing, the moon is a sphere, and it's like, huh, why isn't it dented or odd? And how come it orbits us so perfectly. You know, like the universe in general. I'm sure there's some numbers behind it, the golden ratio, whatever. I'm not smart enough to figure that mess out, but it's just weird to me. And you look at some of the other moons, like they're deformed, they're broken, they're just odd. But our moon, Luna, if we want to call it that,
Hmm.
it's just too perfect it, to me, anyway.
Okay.
And just the way it is, and I don't know, it's just something about it. It's always bugged me. But yeah, quite a few people believe that it's not a natural satellite. It is some type of base, and we went there and we were told to leave. I think everyone's probably heard the secret recordings of them saying they see something around the moon in one of those Apollo missions, and just it's just one of those things.
I mean, I do find the concept interesting. I actually not heard those recordings.
Oh,
So
Me either.
yeah. So
well, I gotta link them to you.
I don't know why.
Yes.
I don't know why my camera is blurring the way that it is. There we go. Okay.
We're talking about stuff we're not
It's
supposed to talk about.
it's focusing on the aliens behind you. It can sense
I know,
them.
right? Right. That's what I was doing. That's what I was
The
doing.
crab.
Funnily enough, you might not be
crab
wrong.
people.
I like messing with Bonnie because she has a fear of aliens. So I like saying, "Oh, they're in there. They're just cloaked." But in all seriousness, uh, they can cloak, and there is a way to break it because, from what I understand, their cloaking it it comes about from bending light. And if
Okay.
you actually have a couple of mirrors, and if you position them at the right angles, and then you
Uh-oh. Froze. I was trying to fix the camera. No. No. Chat, can you still hear me?
but
Oh.
his video somehow got corrupted. Like it was the weirdest thing, but he was able to save a single frame, and it was just like, dude, what is that? I know it was an old show, Fact or Fake or something like that on Sci-Fi, where
Hmm.
they would try to prove if some urban legends or something was real or not,
Uh-huh.
and they try to recreate what he saw and what he captured. It, they were very disrespectful, and it was dumb how they tried to do it. It didn't work, in my opinion. And they said that they couldn't say it was real. They couldn't say it was fake. It was in the middle. And the other thing with extraterrestrials is the electricity, static electricity, and all that. I don't know how it works. I don't know what technology they use, but electronics are going to go bonkers when they show up. Like it's weird. It's almost like they're opening up a portal and coming through at times. And
Well, I mean,
I can only
defensively speaking, though, I mean that would make sense as like a defense mechanism to naturally have in your technology. If you know you're trying to, like, come into a place with as little knowledge as possible, or as few people as noticing, like frying up electronics within your vicinity, using some type of perpetual EMP in a way, right? Would make sense, right? Because especially if you know that those people have a certain level of technological advancement, they could take pictures or video or follow you or something like that, right?
yeah.
So it would make sense to me that if, like, they're trying to keep it secret, that they're going to try to fry whatever electronics are in the vicinity to make sure that nothing's recorded. Because it's one of the things that they said in the House committee was completely true. Is like, how is it that Russia can shoot flares at us and we've got absolutely perfect imagery of that, but every single fucking photo that we've got of a fucking UFO looks like somebody drew on the camera lens with a crayon?
Yep.
Like, I mean, I'm paraphrasing, right? They didn't put it that way, but You know, that's essentially what it looks like. I mean, look at like the old black and white pictures of UFOs. It looks like a little black circle somebody drew on the lens.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's just one of those things. But yeah, electronics, they will temporarily go out. They come back, but all of a sudden the footage is missing and everything. But
Yep.
this also leads into two things. You know, yes, it could be extraterrestrial or it could be terrestrial because the government does mess and experiments. And um, this is something that's interesting. If for whatever reason you get taken by aliens, I don't know, they visit, they say, "Hey, you're coming with us." Not like you really have a choice; they're going to take you anyway. Um,
Right.
and you're on that operating table. Usually, you'll remember very, very short things. Like you'll remember seeing them passing out, waking up in your room. So
Yep.
uh, the I can't think of this woman's name, but she was saying how she now knows the difference between the real ones and the government ones. And she said
Ah.
that, and it makes a lot of sense when you hear it. She said that when she was abducted by gray aliens, their technology was so great. She doesn't remember walking to the ship. She remembers floating through her ceiling or something like that. She's on the table. And what they did was they saw that she was awake, and one of them came in and they, between her legs, she didn't like that, just pop, pop, and then pointed at her, and she passed out, and then woke up in her room. Whereas another time, it was things that looked like gray aliens, but she was like, it was something off about them, and her memory isn't as fuzzy. And they held her down and they stuck a needle in her for her to pass out. She remember getting injected, pop, and why would they need to inject you with something if before just pointed a freaking finger at you and you passed out?
Right. Right. So she identified a difference between them. One being fake and then one being actual aliens.
Yeah. Yeah. Sounds crazy, I know. And I've been told that the triangular ships are the ones you have to be careful with. The triangular ones are supposed to be government, or at least more likely to be government. And I don't know how true that is, but I also remember this. The ships themselves are, it's fed into some type of awareness. It has some type of awareness. It's not biological, but it has awareness. I don't know how to really explain it, but I guess if you were to pilot it and you're wearing a helmet or whatever, I guess the sensory just goes through the ship and it's expanded. But the point is, if you notice them, they will notice you.
Okay.
Simple as that. And if they notice you, well, God bless you, because it's going to it's going to lead into one of two things. Either they're going to give you a little light show and then leave, or you're going to be visited. You know, sometimes people are in the right place at the wrong time, or the wrong time but the right place. Just like it was from Fire in the Skies. Travis, is it Travis Walton? Someone will know his name. He wrote Fire in the Skies, and then they did that movie, and most people remembered the abduction part of it. That movie was, that's what scares folks.
Now
Anyway.
I know the name.
You don't know Fire in the Sky?
No, I know Fire in the Skies.
Oh. I think it's Travis Walton.
Yes,
Travis
they just
Walker.
said Travis Walton.
Yeah, Travis
Okay.
Walton.
So it's interesting with him because he was he was with some buddies. They were in the woods or whatever, and they saw a UFO doing something like surveying the land or whatever. And he got out of the truck and he got hit by that beam or whatever they were using, and his buddies took off, and he was taken into the ship. And originally he said he was attacked, it was scary, it was some crazy mess happening. And years later, he sat down and he thought about it and he said, you know what? I don't think that was the case. I don't think they were trying to hurt me. I think they were trying to check on me because I was the idiot who walked into the beam. They were just surveying or something. And he says this because he remembers being in this room, freaking out and running away, but they didn't chase after him. They didn't try to hurt him. He ended up in another part of the ship where a humanoid being calmed him down, talked to him, and then he blacked out. And then when he came to, he was in, I don't think it was exactly the middle of nowhere, but he wasn't where he was supposed to be and went to a payphone, and the rest is history. But he thinks that they were actually trying to help him because they were worried and like, oh, look at this idiot. Great. Now you gotta deal with this, you know? Like, oh. And it's something to think about. So yeah, he was in probably the wrong place at the right time. But if his accounts are accurate, it shows that they're not hostile, at least, or that group wasn't, and they're doing whatever job they're doing. And this is something that's always fascinated me because we don't know what is alien culture. What did they
I was
do?
just gonna ask, like, I mean, do you think that they have like an interaction protocol, kind of like Star Trek, where it's like
Yes.
if you meet like an underdeveloped or what could be considered an underdeveloped species, like you don't show them your technology. Like if you're going to interact with them, you have to interact with them at their level, like
Yeah.
to not interfere with their progress.
150%, I believe something like that is there, but it's a bit complicated because there are people who are taken, there are people who see things and have certain memories. So I know part of it is there because we can go back to the Betty and Barney Hill case,
Hmm.
and they were taken by allegedly Zeta Greys. Oh, it's the story behind the Zetas. Anyway, they were taken by Zeta Greys, and Barney was just not having any of it. He was freaking out and just like, oh, everyone, just shoot me and be done with it. Betty, however, was a bit more open and cool, and she communicated with one of the leaders there, whatnot, and he showed her around the ship, and he gave her a star map and something. Well, not necessarily a star map, but he sort of drew something out. It was implanted in her head. It's weird, but he gave her that, and he gave her something else, something that was physical that she could take and show. But one of the other ETs came, and she said in her accounts that it looked like they were arguing, like rah, 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 rah. I'm like, oh, you can't do that. And he took it back, like, yeah, sorry, you can't do that. Years later, that star map turned out to be accurate. It was a map to Zeta Reticuli, which is interesting. And jumping
Damn.
ahead in time, jumping ahead in time from a good friend of mine, he's had interactions, like crazy interactions, because he has been visited since he was maybe 11 or even younger. And he was telling me that they don't show their technology because it can be taken advantage of. It can be used in means that it wasn't meant
Designed
for,
for.
designed for. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, shoot. Good proof of that is the stealth bomber. That thing allegedly was created from reversed engineered alien technology,
Mhm.
and the SR-71 Blackbird.
I was just gonna say,
Same
yeah,
thing.
yeah. I mean, there's no way because like this SR-71 came out in what, the '60s,
Mm-hmm.
was it? Right, and that thing
Around that time.
that was a way ahead of its time. You're talking about a plane that didn't fly at the base of it flew through the atmosphere.
Yeah.
Like it was almost in space completely, like how high that thing went up.
Yeah. So,
Mhm.
he was telling me that, yeah, and if they do show you something, it's because they have familiarity with you. Since he was visited so much, they had familiarity with him, and he was able to walk around the ship. He said that he saw test tubes like with actual fetuses in it. This was for the hybrid program, which may or may not still be happening. And the ET that he was speaking to was, uh, she called herself Giovanna, and I'm sure that's not her actual name, but it creates a familiarity because his grandfather's name was Giovanni, and they might pick a familiar name or something like that to keep you calm and not freaking out. And she told him that, at least for the Orion Greys, that they have a council, they have elders. They're not supposed to directly interfere with the developing and the advancement of humanity. They can do some things behind the scenes because allegedly they have stopped nuclear meltdowns and mess like that.
Right.
And but ultimately they're not supposed to interfere. They're supposed to leave us to our own devices, and that be that, because in the past they've interfered and it's just led to war. And allegedly this isn't the first, we're not the first humans on this world. The other ones were wiped out for whatever reason. And uh so it's like we don't want to do that again. So very interesting stuff.
So now, and one thing I'm
Hmm.
picking up on here as you keep talking, you're going through that I find very interesting, is you're marking almost like races or like subcultures, because you've mentioned Zeta Grays, you said Orion Grays.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's different so look at it like this. All right, so on this planet, how many different types of animals are there?
Quite a few.
Enough.
Yeah,
Many.
exactly. So now let's go out into the galaxy, which we can only see like less than 5% of.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll say that, life, other intelligent life is out there, older than us, more advanced than us, but they're just from parts that we can't see.
Mm-hmm.
So personally, I don't believe that this is the only planet that can support life. It's weird to me. Like, things repeat themselves. So why would we just be alone? So if that's the case, then if there are other planets with life, they all evolve differently, but they are going to have that one particular group that might be the dominant species, the dominant intelligence, and it's going to be different from every other group, every other planet's dominant species. It's just how it is because not everything can be the same.
Right.
The our genetic makeup, whatever goop we crawled out of, is different from the goop they crawled out of. Different. Oh gosh, I don't know. I'm not into this. I'm not smart enough for this, but different cells and atoms, molecules,
Right.
whatever we want to call it, that makes everything up. It's just different. So yeah, it stands to reason that there are different species of aliens, and they, from what I understand, visit. And what makes it even more interesting is the world, I believe, is divided into sections where this group, you guys can do whatever over here. This group has this. So, for example, in the Americas, we have the most sightings and reports of grays and reptilians. Very rarely do they report anything else. Every now and then you'll get a Pleiadian or a Syrian. And then in Europe, parts of Europe, they get Pleiadians, they'll get Syrians. These are more human-esque looking things. Pleiadians allegedly look something like elves, and it's said that Pleiadians are the ones who actually helped Hitler with technology. I don't know how true that is, but but Hitler, he was into the occult. Like, he
Mhm.
did have an interest in it.
Yep.
And so it's possible he had some type of communication. I'm not saying he did, folks. This is just speculation in my weirdo head. Um, so, but they get that. In Australia, oh, Australia truly is the land that just wants you dead. They get the weird mess. They get something, Peter Maxwell Slattery, he called him the Pooh Man, and he looked a little bit like E.T. They got some crazy sharp tooth, dark skin, red eyed, bat looking thing. And just no. Ugh.
So Jeepers Creepers.
Essentially. So yeah, Africa, they get the weird mess as well. It's just ugh. But yeah, and then something you alluded to earlier with the gods and angels, all that stuff. It's possible that they weren't extraterrestrial but interdimensional. And I say that because there are species in this galaxy or universe, whatever, that is believed to have ascended or transcended the dimensions that we know of. They started off like us, 3D form, whatever we want to call it, and moved into a total higher dimensional plane, and that would be Arcturians uh, and I hate all the ends, by the way. And I didn't name these, but Arcturians and oh, they're sunbeams, and they were used in a movie in Cocoon, and that's what they were. And it's bugging me because these are some of the rare ones to show up, but they are sun people, quite literally. Uh, oh, someone tell me, what was the name of the aliens from Cocoon? Someone in chat, go, because I can't remember their names. Ontarians, Altarians. Oh, it's on the tip of my tongue. Well, whatever. They have transcended this physical dimension that we occupy, that we know of, and they could have visited, and with how we Antarians, is that it? Whatever. Anyway, with how we perceive things, they would appear to us like angels or just some type of magnificent being.
Uh-huh.
Or they could appear to us as something extremely scary because I believe
Antarians.
Antarians. Thank you. Oh, that was gonna bug me
I had to Google it, but
oh, okay. Well, that's all right. Um, yeah, the Antarians are supposed to be sun people. But yeah, depending on how we perceive things, then they can show up like the the freaking devil himself,
Uh-huh.
and that's a running theory that I don't believe this personally, but demonic entities are actually aliens and they're trying to eat your soul or some nonsense. I don't believe that, but I do believe that there were beings that could portray whatever we call demons. Because angels, demons, same freaking thing. So just a corruption throughout time, unfortunately. I am sorry. I don't mean to ramble this much. I get
No, dude, it's
excited
good.
about
It's
this
it's
stuff.
that's why I wanted you on, because the thing is like I can only carry on a conversation like this so long before like my limited knowledge on it completely runs out. Like, I mean, you're dropping down species, areas, types, what they look like. Like, I mean, you might as well write the Goetia for aliens, man. You know, right?
go
It's,
aliens.
yeah, the
So,
72 goetic aliens.
uh, but bringing it back around to the U.S., it was believed that, funnily enough, in the 30s, that the U.S. government signed a pact with gray aliens to where we would obtain some of their technology, and they use us being humans, as cattle for whatever experimentation that they want to do in exchange for technology. Now, I don't know how true that is, but that was allegedly, it happened in the 30s. Um, and so them mentioning the 30s, it's like, huh, could be
Yep.
something there. And it was specifically the Greys, which is who visit the most, and followed by the reptilians. So it's very interesting. Something there. I
Yeah,
don't know.
I completely agree. Something has to be there. Like I don't know. It unfortunately it's hard to sift through like what's truly fact from what's fiction, right? It's really hard to kind of break that apart because a lot of fiction is inspired by reality, but then we have to kind of try to pick out the pieces that actually happened, right? Um, and we're just not able to do that because we don't have any information, right? Like I mean, up until now, like literally up until now, up until like 2 days ago, like any information on this shit was just like, yeah, there's no aliens, they don't exist. You know, anyone that talks about them, they're talking out their ass. To now, we've got 3 separate people that are confirmed to be, you know, previously employed by the United States government with a sufficient security clearance to have access to or to like documents or things or people that have access to documents and things and knowledge of these things to turn around and say, we've been able to confirm that to a certain degree we can say essentially in a roundabout way, yes, there are aliens, right? We've had contact, we have their technology, we have their bodies, we have, you know, non-human biological, you know, material, you know, all these things. I mean, to sit there and say, I mean, the thing was is like, because if I remember correctly, and Melvin, correct me if I'm wrong, if you saw this part, when they're talking about the non-biological human material, they referenced the pilot of the craft that had crashed. Oh, we just dropped connection. Hold on, guys.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. We're back. Okay,
Oh.
reconnected. Yeah, OBS doing its you know its shit game. So
Let's try it.
but yeah, so I just think it's crazy, and part of me feels like if the public knows about this, contact I think is going to increase because I think if
You
the
gotta
part
define public.
because the thing is that I believe that if the government had a pact or an agreement with extraterrestrials, that the government would get technology, they would get people to experiment on or do whatever it is that they need to do with, you know, get to know, do, you know, psychological sessions or whatever. Like, so how was your childhood? You know, type shit. That once the stuff breaks open, then there's nothing stopping it from being secret anymore. Because the whole point of secrecy, and it was continually repeated in the House Oversight Committee, that the reason for the secrecy was national security, was to protect projects that the United States government was working on or technology that the United States government had its hands on that other countries could use against the United States. So the whole point of keeping it secret was to make sure that nobody else had access to this stuff. Right? So again, I'm just spiraling right now, right? I'm squirreling, right? I'm, you know, taking what I've heard, what we've been talking about, and I'm running with it, okay? And I'm trying to connect dots that might not even exist, right? But if, you know, the first contact was made in the 1930s and the agreement was made, we'll give you bits of our technology every time we take somebody or whatever the hell the agreement was, right? And we got our Men in Black site and all that happy horse shit, right? Once that seal breaks, once that secrecy is gone, then there's no reason for them to just start floating around in clouds anymore.
I get where you're coming from, but it's still more to the story. Because no matter what, they were going to do whatever they were going to do. Them being the extraterrestrials or not humans or not of this earth biological thing, whatever they want to freaking call it.
Mm-hmm.
They were going to do it regardless. It's just, do you want to do it the easy way or the hard way, essentially? And if they did it with us, they did it with other countries. So other countries, they have the same technology. Maybe they don't have the means to reverse engineer it or advance it like we do, or
Uh-huh.
the UK or something. But they have it. It's still a wash. And even though this is coming out, it's not groundbreaking the way it should be. People aren't actually paying attention to it
Nope.
like you
No,
would
they're
think
not.
they
That's
would.
that's yeah, exactly.
And the other thing is they're not just going to
I think
start
that's
taking people.
desensitization, though. Like, the people are so desensitized to this shit. There's so many people coming out over the years, talking about this with supposed former government contracts. But correct me if I'm wrong. I don't ever remember there ever being a House Oversight Committee for this.
No,
Like, I mean, it's
this
never gone
is
to that point before. Like, this is new. This is a new level.
it is. I mean, because records have been open within the past 10 years and talking about it. Pilots are getting a bit more credibility when they say, hey, there's something out here and it's weird, it's not doing what it should be doing. But saying that, I think that the abductions and everything, the levels of them, it's still going to, for the most part, remain the same because they really don't just pick people at random. They don't just say like, "Hey, Adius, I'm gonna come for you because you're into this dark stuff and everything, and you got a decent head on your shoulders. We're just gonna come and visit." They don't do that.
Right.
It's for the most part planned out. I mean, yeah, sometimes it happens, but for the most part, it's planned out. And part of how they choose is through the bloodline. It's not random. And
Right.
then if it's not the bloodline, a lot of it is government workers or the children of government workers. One particular person, I won't say his name, but he was actually sold to them, to the government, I mean. And this particular government, like his father was black site, high ranking general, and sold his kid basically to the government to do whatever with. And this government worked with the extraterrestrials, and he has been he has had the weirdest mess happen to him. Like one day he came home and his furniture was on top of the roof. The neighbors thought it was some weird new prank. Like, how'd you do that? It's like, I didn't. Like, they mess with him. They troll him. And he has seen things that he can't explain. He has pictures of his hybrid kids, which of course people will say, "Oh, it's just makeup, it's fake." Like the this guy's too stupid to tie a shoe. It's no freaking way he can make this up. And he's introduced equations that have been scientifically proven to be legit. Like, oh wow, this is a legit equation. This solves whatever issue over here. And again, he's too stupid to tie a shoe. Like, he's not an intelligent person at all. But here he is dealing with this stuff. And
Well, that seems to be a running theme, though. Like, in alien abduction, they don't necessarily pick up the next Albert Einstein. They could develop a equation by themselves, or information that they get by themselves. They grab people that, when you look at these people, you're like, dude, there's no fucking way that they know this.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
it's weird. But a part of it has to do with the government, another part bloodline. But it's planned out. It's not at random, or at least not as random as it would seem to be. It's very weird, and I'm sure someone can crack the code for how they choose who they choose. I think it has to do with psychic potential, as well as ancestral pacts, and then of course government stuff. And then there's also you being open to it. I know this sounds weird, but these things are extremely advanced. And you put yourself out there, you say, I want to see something. Please show me something, anything. Let me experience this. You will see something. May not be that next day, but you will get something, man. Be careful what you wish for. This and that that's what happened to my buddy. We'll just call him AP. He he was ready to see him, or so he thought. And he was driving home from wherever in Colorado, and he was with the wife and the kid. They were asleep in the car. It was freaking midnight. And he said, "You know what? I'm ready to see you guys. I want to see you. I'm ready. I'm brave. Come on, let's do this. Come on." And he said he heard a voice in his head that was like, "Okay, turn right and go here." And sure enough, he did that. It's a high school. He gets out the car and he goes to the football field, and he's looking around and everything, and he walks a few feet and he's like, "What? There's nothing here. What's happening?" And he walks a little further, looking around, nothing. And he said, in an instant, on the other side of the field, the other end zone, these tall beings just appeared, and they pointed at him, just you, and they took off running after him, and it freaked him right out. Just like, nope, 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 nope. Turned around to run away, and he said the last thing he remembers was a hand touching his shoulder, and then he woke up in his car.
Mm-mm.
So be careful what you look for. Although I put the blame on them just appearing like that and then pointing and running after someone. Like, come on, you can't do that.
Well, I mean, I would like to think that they have a sense of humor, right?
Some do.
So I would think that the whole thing, like what Paranormal said, like aliens like to prank. I think it makes sense. I wouldn't doubt. They're up there floating up, fucking cracking their asses up, over some of the shit that they've done.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I've always believed in aliens. I've always been a huge fan of the X-Files, and researching and watching the videos that people take of these objects in the sky and stuff like that. And I've always believed that it's impossible that it's just us. Like, I personally feel that it's absolutely impossible that it's just us out here. And I say out here because a lot of people like to say out there, but let's be correct in our speech. We all share the same space. So it's not just us out here. There's more to it.
Definitely agree. And I just saw something from Little Tree Sap, and she was asking, what do they want to see with the bloodline? And I have no freaking idea. I have speculation, but no real idea. The only thing that I can really say is probably if it already has some form of alien DNA in it, something spliced in, and a bloodline of psychic ability, mostly not even psychic ability, but just being more aware, being more sensitive, we'll say, being a sensitive. And I'm not talking about the new age type of sensitive where it's like, yes, I was meditating and I went to the seven seas of Galilee. Not that junk. Sensitive in the sense of you can feel that something is a bit off or feel that something is a bit right, and you have a weird call that you just want peace and you wish people could get along, and you're sensitive to other people's energies, like an empath almost. That's sort of what it boils down to. Um, and like, I think it was like the RN blood or something like that. I always get mixed up with the blood stuff, but that bloodline, if you have RN negative, something like that, that's the one where you're more likely to get taken for whatever reason. That one, they love that. That's the alien bloodline. Oh, everyone left.
No, sorry, my kid came in. I'm right here. I'm right here. I didn't go anywhere. I didn't go anywhere. It was my kid was talking to me. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I would like to have like some kind of contact, but I don't want it to be some foggy, vague, you know, type of contact. You know.
You don't want some Silent Hill mess there.
Yeah, no, man. You know, like I want to sit down, you know, have a glass of whiskey, hang out, have a conversation. You know.
Well, that's the problem. If you do that, you're not going to remember it. So,
right? Probably.
this is what I tell people. Especially where you're at. You could probably see the stars really good. And if you're open for it, what you need to do is get a laser pointer or a flashlight. Probably a flashlight before a laser pointer, just because it might be a jet flying overhead or something. And you blind the pilot, and next thing you know, like, oh,
right?
Oops. But get a flashlight and get a what are those things called that sweep through the radio frequencies?
Oh, well, fuck. I don't remember.
A ghost box.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get a ghost box and turn that sucker on, and just look at the stars. Put your intentions out there, like, hey, I know you hear me. I know you feel me. Just give me a sign that you're here, and I guarantee you'll see something light up. And you can use the flashlight to communicate. Just beep, beep, beep. Do it like that. That's probably the easiest way of doing it. Probably the safest way, instead of just inviting them into your home, because you don't.
Right.
You have to be careful with how you do it. So
right.
Yeah, I don't want to hear like, yeah, I just said, come at me, and well, they came at me.
Right. They came through the fucking window.
Yeah.
Glass on the floor, everything.
So real quick, here's an experience Bonnie had. I'll never forget this, and she hates me for it. But I was speaking with her. This was about 3 years ago now. I was speaking with her. It was around Christmas time, and she was getting over her little fear. And I said, you know what, Bonnie? I bet you're being visited. I bet you there's one there right now. It's looking at you, and you don't even know it, and you'll never know it, and all that. And she said that, why did I have to say that? Why did I have to say that? Because from the corner of her eye, she was able to see out the window, and she swear it was something looking in. And after that, the light started to flicker.
There you go.
And so she's like, oh my God, Melvin, stop it. Shut up. Nope. So if you ever want,
I'm trying to get over it, not face it right now.
Yeah. So if you ever want to like just freak Bonnie out or something, just say like, hey, the aliens are watching you, and they're gonna be visiting and doing some stuff. You watch out.
That's good to know. Good to know.
Yeah,
all right.
So.
I think we're gonna call it right there. Melvin, thank you very much for coming on. Such
no
last
problem.
minute. This has been a great conversation. I learned a shit ton tonight. It's always an honor to have you on. We don't have you on nearly enough as I would like. But you're always busy. You're always doing something. So.
And it's got to make money.
Truth. Yes, we do need to have Melvin on more often. But I do think that this has been a wonderful conversation. It's been, like I said, I've learned a lot. And you know what? I'm gonna quote. I'm gonna quote X-Files, and it's probably a quote from somebody else before that. But the truth is out there. So Melvin, because this is such an off topic for this show, would you mind sending us out with how you send out your show?
Yeah, sure. I could do that. Well, before anything, thank you all for joining us. Really appreciate it. Hope you all had a good time. Adius, Mystic, even though Mystic, he was the silent man, but you guys are freaking awesome. Be sure to follow everyone on Instagram, Discord, Twitter, all that stuff, all those stupid social medias. Just click on it, follow everyone. And as always, remember, guys, there are things that go bump in the night. Go ahead and tell them hi.
That was
Hi,
wonderful.
everybody.
Peace out, everybody. Hail thyself.